Hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the Summit presentation of the Starladder European, or sorry, Starladder I-League American Division, number 13. We're looking at Digital Chaos versus Root, second game in this best of three series, and we're looking at 1-0 advantage for Digital Chaos as they were absolutely able to trounce Root in game number one. Not even 20-minute game with a lot of late game cores. I mean, they could have taken that game to an hour and a half. But they took it to 20 minutes, and Digital Chaos just put on a show. So we're going to be looking forward to see what Root answer back with. Going to be seeing a brand new draft here in game number two. Thanks once again for tuning in. I'm myself, M. Blaze, and let's check it out. So we're going to be looking at the opener of Wyvern and Slardar as the bans for Root Gaming. They leave the Gyrocopter in the pool till phase 2, but you better believe they're still scared of it, and they will ban out TC's Gyro in that second phase. Interestingly enough, they have gone for not only the Shadow Fiend first pick, but they're going for the Silencer follow-up after the Queen of Pain and Tusk are picked in response. So that's very, very interesting to me. Obviously, Queen of Pain and Tusk are very much about initiating. They're able to do a lot when they're able to jump in and get their spells off. But the Silencer now, rather than later, is what really just I find peculiar. Because you can easily pick up Silencer in third pick or fourth pick. And while I feel that that hero is generally underrated and is actually insanely powerful in the right hands, I still would feel like you could get a little bit more by just picking one of the more flexible heroes. That gives away less information and all that. But they want the Silencer, they get the Silencer, they've got it with the SF. So they've got Global Silence, Requiem, some really good team fight every couple of minutes. On the other hand, of course, you're going to be relying a lot on your Dire Jungle stacks. So we'll look for a hero that's efficient in that capacity, and then they still have to flesh out their offlane. But interestingly enough, the offlane bans are not there from DC. They're actually punishing the alternative support. Instead of banning out an offlaner like you would normally see when you already have Doom and Slardar and Tusk out of the pool, you would ban out like Darkseer and Clockwork. You would, yeah, that kind of thing. In this case, no, they are actually banning out supports. So they banned out the Bane, and obviously you can get things like the Nightmare, Double Raise, Nightmare Requiem. Fiend's Grip in general is great in this kind of a game. But no, yeah, they actually are going to be looking at something else. Maybe they'll go for the Bubble Clockwork here. I think there's some good value in that, actually. Now that I think about it, the reason they wouldn't ban it out is because they probably want it for themselves. If you can close in with on the Shadow Fiend with the Clockwork, and obviously just get some cogs down after your hookshot, that's enough to make it so that the Silencer is something that you can wait out. Especially if Bulba gets a Force Staff, but that's assuming the Clockwork. We'll see.
Radiant team.
So right now, Beastmaster and Bane banned out. Hard lockdown, so you can expect something a little bit greedier. Yeah, they're going to go for like an agility late game carry, because obviously the counter to that is going to be a long duration disable, like their ultimates. So Ember Spirit, I think, would be okay. You would have to obviously go for like a Manta style against the Silencer, a BKB. I've seen a Lotus Orb once, that was weird. Or you could just go for something that's even less spell dependent, but still doesn't want to be hard disabled. So I mentioned the Slark before, he's a pretty good example. The Anti-Mage could be coming into play once again. I think he would be pretty strong here as well. For now though, what we're looking at is a Spirit Breaker along with the Tusk, and the Queen of Pain most likely going for an alternative solo lane. So Quap versus SF mid is the presumable, and then Tusk and Spirit Breaker is going to be probably that dual off lane if they get the chance. One thing I really like about Spirit Breaker is that he completely ignores most of what Silencer does. Once you start charging, you don't stop charging. Silencer or not. Maybe he won't let out a loud moo in the process, but he will connect with his damage, and that's the key thing. So I think overall Spirit Breaker is probably one of the better heroes to have on your team during that. Picking up Tidehunter for Root, it seems clear that they are emphasizing 5-on-5 team fight, and making it so that when they have their cooldowns up, they are gods on this map. And when they have the cooldowns unavailable, they just play defensively and try to buy some time. I'd actually like to see a Disruptor here, to be honest. I think Disruptor would be a very powerful pick. There's a couple of synergies to look at, like the fact that Spirit Breaker marks your target with Charge of Darkness. You can still see him, and therefore you can glimpse him back and get the follow-up disable from the Spirit Breaker immediately. Or the fact that you can get the Static Storm counter synergy against the Tidehunter. You can still kill him off without him getting a spell off, thanks to the kind of ground target aspect of the Static Storm and continually prevents Tidehunter from casting. But we're not going to be seeing the Disruptor, we're going to be seeing Shadow Shaman here. So Shadow Shaman is much more push emphatic, and obviously if he gets the wards down, they really have a lot of good physical damage coming out against certain targets. So essentially what they can do is they can drop the wards on the tower, be kind of committed to that objective, and then even if the silence are globals, they can kind of keep their distance while the wards do their own thing and distract Root. Could this be a Naga Siren game, though? That would be interesting. Because right now we've got offlane Tidehunter, presumably the dual support of Silencer and Dazzle, and then the Shadow Fiend in the mid. I think it's too greedy. I like the Naga Siren versus a lot of these heroes, but I think it's too greedy. You can't have Shadow Fiend and Naga Siren on the same team. It costs too much. They take too many resources off the map. The reason I say Naga is really great here is because, I mean, Ensnare's pretty good against Spirit Breaker, Quid of Pain, it can be good against her. But most importantly, I would say it's great against Shadow Shaman wards. You can reset the fight every time. You kill the wards that are not immune to Song the Siren, and then you just kill all the other heroes, following it up with Ravage and Global and that kind of thing. And that forces every member of Digital Chaos to buy BKBs. But once again, it's too greedy. Shadow Fiend and Naga, one of them is going to be too underfarmed, so I don't think they're going to follow through with that kind of a pick. Slark ban, TA ban. It looks like the Root seemed to think that Queen of Pain is not going to be in the mid lane here, and I'm curious what that alternative is. But for now, we're going to be seeing the Ursa. Been a lot more popular lately in the fact that he is able to attack really quickly against things like the Undying Tombstone. Obviously, he's always been popular against the Phoenix Egg. But I find it interesting that they pick him up here. He can't cast his ultimate during the Global Silence, obviously, which means that he might not actually be able to take advantage of that mitigating effect. And along with that, the Dazzle is able to keep a target that he's pursuing alive for a very long time, thanks to the Shallow Grave. So while Ursa's general role in the teamfight is to go on a single target, kill them off within 2 seconds, and go on to the next one, in this case, he's going to be disabled, he's going to be kited, and there's going to be Shallow Grave in play. It's going to be a little bit difficult unless the other 4 members of Digital Chaos focus on controlling that Dazzle and making sure that he can't play in that capacity. One thing that I really do like about Ursa, in comparison to traditional carries, so boy, I'll get to that in a second, but I do like the Ursa against Tidehunter, because Anchor Smash does not affect Ursa very much at all. He's getting his damage from the Fury Swipes, so he's able to still ignore the fact that his base damage is reduced, for the most part. And yeah, we're going to be seeing Troll Warlord as this last pick here, coming in for Will Easy. Pretty interesting. Obviously, he got nerfed pretty heavily after his rise to the top of the top tier in 6.83, and he got nerfed hard. His damage in the laning phase was reduced because I think Berserker's Rage level 1 doesn't provide as much, or any, and his ultimate duration is the big thing in my mind. It's like a 5-second duration now, which you can obviously glyph during. You can snowball during, you can just wait it out. Just buy yourself a little bit of time here. But we'll see how it works out. Still obviously has some good value. I like the mischance in particular. It's going to be a little bit annoying for the entire lineup of Digital Chaos to have to deal with that. But let's go through some rosters. We've got Aoi 2000 immediately, before he even buys the Courier, he goes and TPs, drops the ward down. This is something that he just likes to do to establish control over the map, and in this case he's going to establish an understanding of the enemy's position with this Observer Ward in play. And then of course the Courier just gets dropped by Buryu after the fact. So it's going to be Aoi 2000 on the Shadow Shaman here, likely supporting the safe lane, though he won't be able to lock down the Tides for very long thanks to the Kraken Shell. We do have the other support played by Buryu, that's going to be the Spirit Breaker. He's going to be roaming all around the map, and he should be finding some kill opportunities with Tusk as well. Speaking of Tusk, that's going to be Bulba here on the offlane, and he went for a TP play of his own. He's going to place a ward right here, and that seems to be close enough to block the camp. I would like it's right on the line, but I think it's just left of the line. So where normally you expect like any ward that blocks the camp to be here, or even in this spot here, these sentries won't as often hit this area. So I think Bulba's going to find himself a little bit of value there. As far as level 1 bounty rune, it looks like 747 has laid claim to the bottom bounty rune. It's going to force Digital Chaos to rotate the Queen of Pain to the top one. That's going to be Yawar playing the Queen of Pain, and that wraps up Digital Chaos. Looking over at Root on the Dire side. We've got Derp on the support silencer. Looks like he may be playing a bit of a 5 position? No. Yeah, this was a single ward purchased by Derp and probably the Flying Courier, or the Ground Courier rather. So he's just going to be zoning, he's going to be harassing, and he's going to be supporting here in the mid to try to give 747 the easier souls early on. Derp. Does he go for Glaives, though, or just kind of Last Word? Last Word's probably sufficient here, but he goes for the Glaives just to make sure. And he doesn't, of course, aggro creeps with this, so the raiding creeps do their own thing, while Derp trades back and forth. Trading downhill to up, it does pose some risks, as you are, of course, risking the uphill mischance, and then you're taking a lot of damage, of course, from the Queen of Pain. Now we're going to see this Spearbreaker charging right through. The healing salve will come, but Derp's still going to be taking some major damage here. But Queen of Pain blinking forward, just hit level 2. That's going to be the first blood onto Derp. They'll even get some good hits on the Shadow Fiend, though, of course, they can't get that 17% bash out with Buryu only level 1. So, inadvisable trade from Derp, and what's worse, not only feeding the first blood to his opponent here, the one that he was trying to zone out, the Queen of Pain, but now Derp has skilled Glaives level 1, and it hasn't gotten anything for it. Like, that's just setting him back so much. Queen of Pain's going to get her bottle, and that harassment is completely nullified. Hearing another Spearbreaker charge, but this time it looks like to be on the Shadow Fiend, who's under tower already. Derp trying to put that pressure out, but Buryu just in the neighborhood will get a couple hits on Derp. In the meantime, that's going to be the last word coming out. It's going to be a bottle delivered, and he'll just bottle sip to make sure he survives. In the meantime, that is going to be a raise. Another bottle sip keeps him alive, and 747 under tower will be going down. He had a ceiling self! Oh my god. He goes down. And that's unfortunate. That is not the way you want to go. They didn't see the bottle. That's the bottom line. They just didn't see the bottle delivered, and that is a game changer. Yagami lives, or Yawar, whatever his name is. He wants to fake nick. He wants to tag up as something else that he's going to get called that by accident every once in a while. Anyways, yeah, so he survives through the last word with the one bottle sip, survives through the raise with another. All around impressive stuff. And they actually get that turnaround kill. Just insane. Killing off the silencer for the second time, killing off the Shadow Fiend for the first, and a bottle refill for Yawar as they pursue forward. Just another easy kill here, and there is nothing that Derp can do at only level 2. We're going to see Yagami take a lot of damage, though, and the Dazzle can do a lot with that Grave TP. So they're actually going to punish the Queen of Pain for her aggression. 747 just standing his ground, dropping those raises, and relying on the Dazzle to bail him out. DC kind of going through the motions where they think every fight will just be a repeat of the last one. In this case, they throw out the wild card in the Dazzle. So, good rotation there from Stan King. Does leave Will Easy up top, but he's happy to just keep last hitting up to 16 and 4, while TC is actually going to be sitting on 15 and 8 here on the Ursa. Mango for now, maybe looking for a Vlad's pretty soon, but ooh, this is actually unexpected. The Bulbul rotation is going to be huge. Going with a snowball play onto 747. They won't even put Buryu in the snowball. They'll charge and snowball at the same time, have the ice shards, and have the kill. Just beautifully executed. And they're going to look for one more. While Buryu does have to back off, Derp is still stuck here. And while he's fighting under tower, there's no TP for him. He will be going down, and that is going to be a huge momentum swing for DC once more. I feel like Root are really dependent on getting a couple of key ultimates online. Obviously the Ravage and the Global Silence being the most impactful ones. So, as it is right now, the Derp Silencer is just not working out. He's only level 2. He's trying to tank up as best he can, going Bracer Gaming, and I feel like it's just fighting a losing battle at this point, since you're constantly stealing experience from the Shadow Fiend. Neither of you is getting good level progression, and you're both just feeding further and further. And it has only net him, all of these exchanges, all of these skirmishes that Silencer often enjoys, has only netted him 2 stolen intelligence, which just isn't enough to make up for everything that he's brought to this lane and failed to acquire elsewhere. Gonna see actually some damage onto Will Easy, but he's got the melee whirling axes that could make things difficult. Along with that, of course, you got Stan King hanging out, this time with a TP once more. AUI just blocking off the Ancients for now. Tide, yeah, being the main hero to farm that up with the Anchor Smash. So right now, Tide has gone for a 0-2-1 build. not only making it much more difficult for Aoi to harass him, as that's a 24 damage block, but making it so that the Kraken Shell triggers more often. Unfortunately, it seems to be infrequently enough that that last hit will come through the Phase Boots online for TC. So, Kraken Shell does trigger every 550 health at level 2, but as you can see, it just came out too late for it to be the saving grace for the Tide, and that's the strength of the Shackles here. In fact, level Shackles, oh, I'm so glad that Aoi did this. Because I actually talked about this when the patch came out, and people were really making fun of it. But I said that there are some situations, not most games, but some games where you'd actually level Shackles over Ether Shock, and definitely over Hex. And we see it right here. AUI getting the extra damage, getting some extra duration, setting up Ursa for kills. And that's just high value. I'm not sure he'll max it, but he definitely gets the value of leveling it. And of course, it's only a 10-second cooldown. So it's going to be Root that's very dependent on getting control of that Shadow Shaman, getting disables against him, and we could see a lot of really good value coming from the Rasta pick here. A nice smoke movement once again. Smoke number 2, looking for 747. He looks for the rune. There's an illusion, and they go on the wrong ones, but they follow through to the west where the ice shards block him off, and the Shadow Fiend just can't do anything but die for the 3rd time. It's a really hard game for Root right now. They feel like they have control. They have like wards in place to try to see what's happening, but one smoke just turns everything topsy-turvy, and it gets ugly very quickly. Boots on everyone for Digital Chaos. Phase boots on the Ursa, but nothing of the sort for the Silencer. Dazzle and Silence are both moving at their base movement speeds here, and it is actually very detrimental to their ability to fight. We're actually going to see potential multiple raises on Buryu, but he doesn't go up to the high ground here. He just keeps on walking, and as a result, stays healthy. More Bottle Crow coming out for Yawar. Going to be looking for the next rune spawn, probably on bottom lane. So that's the best opportunity to use Sonic Wave to kill off the Tidehunter once again. And meanwhile, we do see TC stacking up for himself. Oh, Mango Eaton. They want to go here. Aoi 2000 looking for the Shackles, getting range in just a second, and they will be able to just hammer into this Tide. No Roshan Bash, so they can charge through on their next target, who's the Dazzle. He'll Grave, but he can't find an easy way to escape. Not against a Raging Ursa with the Phase Boots. He'll get a double kill for himself. And now they can easily take this tier 1 tower, making it easier and easier for them to look at Roshan. One Morbid Mask is really all it takes these days for Ursa to have Rosh capability, and taking out this tier 1 tower is generating so much momentum. In fact, they're going to get this Mass Serpent Ward very shortly. One more creep wave, and they've got their level 6 on Shadow Shaman. Up top, we do see Will Easy fighting for his life against Bulba and Yawar, but even without the Sonic Wave, they find a nice little kill.
Double damage.
DD rune for Spirit Breaker, Bounty rune for Quap. Unless he's 747, have to go right back to his jungle and farm up some single stacks. He just doesn't have anything left in the tank at this point. Looking over at early net worth, we see a 2-core lead for Digital Chaos, and that's going to become a lot more if they can get the Rosh, which I think is pretty important in this game here. 4,000 net worth favoring Digital Chaos. 1,500 experience, and actually a dive on the Tidehunter here, just going in with Gush and Anchor. Going to be doing some good damage, but it's not actually going to be enough to kill off the Tusk. Meanwhile, down bottom, pop in the ultimate. The Troll Warlord is able to bring down Aoi since he doesn't have the Hex. Normally in that situation, you'd like to Hex and run, but like I said, he wanted to get that second point in Shackles, and it's served him well, but in this case, it does cost him his life. Tier 1 mid. Probably could see like some 3 or 4 man movement towards this tower. I feel like this is another easy objective if they just find the right angle. Do they want to commit another smoke? They certainly have another smoke, but the question is whether or not they want to commit it. Right now, Bulba has it in his inventory. They're drawing lines on the map. I think they want to smoke around here and then wrap once again to try to kill off this Shadow Fiend for the 4th time. Especially since most Shadow Fiends don't skill up their ultimates until level 9, and that's the timing that we're going to see prevented. So yeah, they smoke over here, but they're still making their move. The question is, do they bring TC to the pit and cover it, or do they actually wrap for a kill? Will Easy just trying to farm Ancients at low HP. Owie and Bulba gonna be going. They're gonna do both. They're gonna kill off 747, kill off Derp, and get the Roshan as well. Stanking, dropping very low here, but it's gonna be the tower that is gonna be in most danger, and there's really nothing they can do. Just clean objective being pursued. They'll have to tank up a few tower shots, but these Master Rewards are doing some real work here. T1 has the Ravage. Maybe he looks to go for the deny. Roshan, a moment longer and it's going down. He's not even going to pop the Enrage for it. He's just going to kill it clean. So they get Roshan. The tower looks to be maybe denied. No, the Master Rewards do a little bit too much damage and it goes down too. They're getting everything this game. Derp in some real trouble here. They're not wanting to commit the Ravage, but they have to, and it only hits on TC. It's not a full-on Cheever, but it is not what they needed. We're just going to see the Enrage and FaZe run away from TC. 747 with the long-range raise. Hits an auto, but doesn't get the raise, and he'll be going down. Now Buryu charging onto T1, who doesn't have Ravage. Ice Shards to block off a path of retreat. But whether or not they want to retreat, it comes down to the Queen of Pain. He gets silenced. He can't even get the last auto attack on Derp. Bulba looking for the snowball up to the high ground. The Shards onto Derp. And now has to probably run away. Gets Gush, gets raised, and that's actually going to give some really good kills to Root in the whole process. But they keep TC alive, he keeps that Aegis, and he walks away. Fight recap, very important here. Look at that kill swing. Silencer going down pretty early there. 2 for 3 is the kill count. But what you actually see is going to be a massive influx of gold for Root. I mean, a lot of people don't put the numbers in comparison, but 2260 gold in a game where you're like nearly 6,000 behind, that's a third of the lead just gone. And that's just immense. Root have a lot of comeback potential if they can use their ultimates wisely, but of course Derp still has to get there. Levels right now, level 4 Dazzle, level 5 Silencer. While 2 cores on the Digital Chaos side are on the cusp of reaching their level 11. Mechanism, we wait for the Shadow Fiend. This definitely can help. Mechanism, Global, Ravage, all very key cooldowns for finding those 5-on-5 fights.
Double damage.
Oh, Will Easy gonna get the Global Silence to cover him, as the Silencer very recently hit level 6, but while that breaks the shackles, we're still going to see the Sonic Wave on the flank here, and Stanking might have to make a decision of who to save. It's not going to be Will Easy, as he's fighting it out on the eastern side, and it is definitely going down. TC is just running in with the Enrage, has the shackles to back him up, gets the kill in 747, and doesn't die to the Dazzle. They keep the Aegis, find themselves a triple kill, find a 5-man wipe for 1, and that is a very sad day for Root. Nullifying the team fight they won out towards the bottom rune is the fact that they didn't have the Ravage available, mostly.
Is under attack.
Obviously, there was no Requiem there either because of mana issues, but I would say the Ravage is the key thing. I kind of feel like if the Dazzle hadn't gotten separated from the Troll, that would have been a lot better too. Troll was very clearly going to be the first guy dying in that fight, but he ran from the Dazzle rather than to him, and Dazzle never graved at all. So not really getting any value out of that one, unfortunately. And of course, most importantly, that Aegis is still intact, so Ursa looking for the dive pretty soon. Does he have his Sanj? No. Completed his Vlads, Orb of Venom, Yasha, but I'm assuming that is going to be the SMY. Mechanism, Bulba, jeez! I wasn't even looking at Bulba's items, but he suddenly found a lot for himself. Owie 2000? Midas Arcane's Wand? That's going to be Aghanim Scepter, I believe. Yeah, he's going to go Blink Ags this game, and it is not going to take too long to find that with a Midas as early as this one. And they're not really slowing their roll at all, as Bulba's going to find that Mechanism from that offlane position so easily.
Go for my armor.
Is that an urn? I don't know the last time I've ever seen an urn tied on her. It's not a bad item, it's just one you don't really bother with. But in this case, he needs to beef up. 747 going to get caught by Buryu's initial strike, but he's not following through with the Nether Strike. The Dazzle's behind him, and really DC aren't ready for an engagement like that. It's going to be a 5-man play down mid thanks to the Ravage. Global Silence cooling down now. They are ready to go, and they pop the Battle Trance, forcing the Glyph immediately. And like I said, With a shorter battle trance, you can just glyph it, and it will wait out the duration. But do DC actually look to engage on this? There is a TP scroll in Queen of Pain. She has her Sonic Wave, and here she comes. They're going to be going for this, at least the deny, and TC running right in for some blood. He still has that Aegis. He's going to be the first to use it, and now Willie Easy going to be trying to find one kill during that global silence. It's going to be on Buryu here, but TC right in the perfect position. Going to be caught inside the Ravage. Will wait out the Enrage, while Will Easy caught inside the trees with the Mass Serpent Ward. He'll phase boots away finally, but in the meantime, they've lost their silencer and nearly lost their Tide. He'll go down to the Scream, and 747 is all alone right now. The Dazzle, meaningless. He's got a Shadow Wave, but what is that going to matter when Yagami, you are, he blinks right in. Will Easy drops a slow, gives 747 some distance, but that will be closed very quickly by the Snowball, and a Walrus punch to the face. It's another pre-20-minute GG. It's DC taking the series 2-0 with the second game not even lasting 16 minutes. That is an 11,000 net worth advantage experience as well. That is an amazing game of Dota for Digital Chaos. They seem to mix and match the balance of control and damage so efficiently. Shadow Shaman able to control while Ursa does the damage. Tusk and Spirit Breaker able to really bring the pain to the Shadow Fiend, and there's no response. And I gotta feel like a little bit of that comes down to their support draft. The Silencer very clearly didn't do what they wanted it to this game. So it's hard to talk about Silencer since this wasn't even an optimal Silencer game. Like, he fed First Blood, he sat on Glaives for the first couple of minutes of the game. Like, I can't even necessarily just blame the Silencer pick because we didn't even get to see a Silencer this game. We got to see a Psy. No. It didn't get to the second half. But that being said, you compare that pick to like an Earthshaker. An Earthshaker covering a Shadow Fiend. That's natural. That's something that we saw a lot of in previous patches. Slightly less effective now, but still, that's a hero combo that we maybe could have seen do some actual work against Queen of Pain. Instead of what we saw, which was Queen of Pain snowballing and having absolutely no response for the Charge of Darkness. Dazzle has no stun, the Silencer has no stun, Spirit Breaker trumps those two supports. And in that case, they were able to just charge all over the lineup of Root, making it a quick 2-0 series, and a good night to you guys. Looking at the schedule, I believe there is one more thing on the list here, so I'll just make sure there's more Dota action that you're able to catch it. But as far as Digital Chaos vs. Root, that one's done. That one's in the books. And it actually does look like that's going to be the last match for tonight. There was one other match, but it got moved. And that will conclude the broadcast here for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm myself, MBlaze. If you enjoyed the commentary, of course, feel free to look me up at BlazeCast. If you didn't, you can throw me some feedback there, and I'll look to improve as I continue on. Soldier on. We're going to be looking at Star Ladder Europe tomorrow, and that's going to be starting bright and early for me. That's 8 o'clock Eastern Time, which should be around 1400 hours on Central European Time. So that's going to be opening up with a couple of the what do you call them? Qualifier teams, the Golden Boys, the Speak Bad English teams, and then we're going to conclude with an awesome match between Team Empire and Arcade Power Rangers. So looking forward to that. Should be some really awesome games of Dota 2, and that's going to be coming at you guys tomorrow throughout the middle of the day. So once again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm Blaze, broadcasting on behalf of Beyond the Summit, signing off. Good night.